Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers exact some level of revenge against the Columbus Blue Jackets. They win by a score of 4-1. Two of the goals were empty net goals, so the score is a little bit misleading. This definitely was one that was a little bit too close for comfort, but the Rangers do get the win. They are done on the season with Columbus, who really gave the Rangers a very, very tough time this year. The Rangers were able to scrape out one regulation win against them. They had a shootout win earlier as well. Both those wins at Madison Square Garden. And the Rangers, now through 60 games, they have just gotten their 40th win of the season. So they're the first team in the NHL to reach 40 wins. And I say that with a slight caveat because the Florida Panthers, they've played one less game than the Rangers. And so if they were to win their next game, then they would also be in that category as well with 40 wins in 60 games. I believe also Winnipeg could still technically get there if they've played 57 games and have 37 wins. So if they won all three of their next three games, then they would reach that as well. But the point there still is, even in a best case scenario for those teams, the Rangers would be tied in that mark. So the fact that the Rangers have won, again, 40 and 60 games is quite the accomplishment. They've really been, especially good at home. Their home record now improves to 21-7. Just, remarkable. Obviously, that's a, 750 points percentage right there. And the Rangers have now won, 11 of their last 12 games. I thought that in this game, there was a lot of things that, the Rangers could have done better. Their third period, again, in protecting the lead, not great. Igor was really good, although it's been a theme for him where he can't quite get that shutout. And, the goal against him was his fault, more in the way of him, passing the puck, trying to rim it around the boards, and it goes right to a Columbus Blue Jacket. So not like your traditional fuck up, but he was a little out of position because of that. But still, he was a huge reason why they won. Crazy how he wasn't one of the 3 stars of the game. Not really sure why that would have been, but, whatever. Artemi Panarin gets a couple of goals. One of them was an empty net goal. So, but still, he's now got 35 in the season. And, just continues to be a force. Adam Fox, he scored a goal. What ended up being the game-winning goal, it was his 10th goal of the season, which I believe ties a career high for Fox. No, that's not true, actually. But he should pass it. Last year, he had 12 goals. But obviously, here you got, 22 games left in the season. You'd like to think that he would score at least 3. So scoring a little bit more, he's not really much of a goal scorer, but he's, improving in that department slightly. And, some other good contributions across the board. But yeah, didn't think the Rangers were great. Again, especially that third period, but the first, they came out strong. Good first period. I thought the second period was mostly good as well. And you'd expect them to beat Columbus coming off of that loss last game. And that is exactly what they did. So, lineup was the same. Matt Rempe did not get into a fight in this game, which I think was wise. He was sporting a pretty heavy black and blue mark on, I guess, his left eye from the fight last game against Columbus with Olivier. So, but hey, look, he didn't play much, and that's kind of been the thing. Tonight he played 7 minutes and 42 seconds, which is probably maybe the highest mark he's had since he's been here. But, he's had some pretty decent shifts. He actually has. So, he's made an impact. And Adam Edstrom as well. So we are getting closer to the deadline. Only 2 more games until the deadline. So we'll talk about the schedule once we're done talking about this Columbus game. But, there will be some changes, coming pretty soon, I would think. And more so players coming in than going out. But, yeah, Rangers, were, eager to, come out and get the job done after the bad loss against Columbus. And bad loss is not the right way to put it. But just the fact that they did, And the first period, I thought the Rangers were really good. I thought that Merzlikins was strong for the Blue Jackets in this game. Did as good as he could, for a while. At 10:59, Ivan Provorov interferes with Adam Edstrom. So Edstrom draws a penalty, but the Rangers' power play unsuccessful. They did get some good chances, though, on that power play, but they did not score. And that would be the score at the end of one. No score. We go to the second period, and the Rangers do get a couple. And it was at 7:17 when Artemi Panarin scores his 34th goal of the season from Trocheck. So this is a face-off win by Trocheck. But it wasn't really a totally clean win. It was kind of a 50-50 puck for Panarin and whoever was on Columbus battling against him at the wing. And Panarin, this puck deflected a million times before it got into the net. Panarin just kind of fires a shot. Before it gets to Panarin, actually, I think it hits the linesman coming off of the faceoff. And then Panarin, somehow it gets all the way through to Merzlikins, and it goes off of Merzlikins' pads, maybe stick, and it trickles in. So that's where it goes to show. Just put it on net. I think it definitely surprised Merzlikins a little bit that Panarin was able to kind of fire through, but just the attitude this year for him has been shoot first so much more than it's been in a long time, maybe his whole career. And I do believe that has been beneficial, and it keeps the defense a little bit honest because you don't know what he's going to do. But Panarin, as he's been all season, a huge catalyst, and scores that goal to give the Rangers a 1-0 lead. Then things get a little bit interesting. So at 13:38, what ends up being the final call is Matthew Olivier is called for cross-checking Trocheck. And originally, they gave Trocheck a 5-minute major. And part of the reason why they do that is because you can review majors. So if they gave him, let's say, a 2-minute penalty, you wouldn't be able to look at it. But what happened was Trocheck had a collision with Johnny Gaudreau. And clearly, based on the replay, he was kind of just trying to get in the way because big Matt Rempe was right near Johnny Gaudreau. So Trocheck really had nowhere to go. He wasn't like a helmet. It wasn't like a headshot. It wasn't a dirty lower body thing. It just was a weird collision, and Gaudreau was in some pain. He would leave the game, but then he'd come back, and I think Trocheck kind of felt bad about it. And you could tell that on his face. But they made the right call. And in retaliation to what the Blue Jackets thought Trocheck did, Olivier gave him a really hard cross-check. And so that ends up being a penalty in Columbus. And the Rangers do take advantage of that. And that's where Adam Fox scores his 10th goal of the season from Kreider. So Eric Goodbranson turns the puck over. Some good pressure by Kreider. Bad turnover by Goodbranson. And Kreider has a situation where he can either shoot it, he could pass it across to Panarin, or he could go back to an open Adam Fox. He goes back to Fox. Fox finds an opening up top and risks it glove side past Merzlikins to give the Rangers a 2-0 lead. And they would have a 2-0 lead going to the third, and Columbus had a much better third period. They outshot the Rangers 12-4 in the third, and early in the third, Barclay Goodrow, takes a penalty at 1:52. He trips Adam Boquist. But then at 2:29, during that Blue Jacket power play, Kent Johnson hooks Zibanejad. So it's 4-on-4. But on this 4-on-4, at 3:24, Cole Sillinger scores for Columbus, his 9th goal of the season from Damon Severson. So this is a play, like I said, where Igor, he wraps it around, and it just wasn't the right thing to do because there was no Rangers there. It was Severson. And Severson takes a shot on net. Again, Igor's trying to kind of scramble back to the net. And it ends up kind of with I think Sillinger gets one shot saved by Igor, and then it's just kind of an open net, and he easily gets it in. So makes it 2-1 there. And so from there, this was close. I mean, Igor made some really good saves, and this Columbus could have very easily tied this game for sure. And I think the Rangers do need to do a better job of holding on. They are mostly finding a way to win the games, but it doesn't look good while doing it. So at 5:20, Igor is called for tripping Marchenko. So Marchenko, who made a nice move, I think, around Trouba and maybe Zibanejad. But after it was all said and done, after the Igor save, he trips Marchenko, but the Rangers kill it off. Then a rare fighting situation at 15:32. You don't normally see that in a one-goal game late, but Will Cooley and Voronikov dropped the gloves after Cooley hit Provorov. And they didn't call a penalty on it. And I tend to agree with that. I don't think it was. But, they could have, I guess. But they, fight there with less than 5 minutes to go in the third. Columbus has chances. They have a 6-on-4. They pull the goalie. But the Rangers do score a couple of empty net goals. At 19:07, Kreider scores his 30th of the season. So Kreider reaches the 30-goal mark, assisted by Panarin and Vesey. And then at 19:48, Columbus pulls the goalie again, and Panarin scores again, his 35th goal of the season from Trouba and Miller. So Panarin, talk about padding the stats. I mean, Panarin, who originally just had 1 goal, ends up with a 3-point night, 2 goals and an assist off the 2 empty net goals. Kreider ends up with a goal and an assist. But overall, Rangers did what they had to do. They get the win. They beat Columbus, and they won't play them again this season. And that's sadly a good thing. So now Rangers have a few days off, and then they'll have a couple of games, one Saturday, one Monday. And these should be interesting games. At Toronto is one of them. And that'll be their third and final meeting with the Leafs. They won at Toronto, and then they lost home against them. And now the third one will be back at Toronto. So we'll see how that one goes. The Maple Leafs, they'll be playing against the Coyotes tomorrow night at home. So we'll see what happens there. And then they'll play the Rangers on Saturday. And then the Rangers on Monday will play home against the Panthers, which should be interesting. They are really up towards the top with the Rangers in the league standings. And that'll be the second meeting between the two clubs and the first meeting at MSG. So looking forward to both of those, because those are two legitimate playoff teams and definitely two of the better teams, not only in the conference, but all of the NHL. But that's all you got up until, so the deadline is Friday, March 8th. The Rangers don't play again until that next Saturday, the day after the deadline. So you just got these two games. And, so not a whole lot of Ranger hockey coming up, but we'll see what deadline things happen. And, apparently Ducks GM Pat Verbeek was at the game. That's always interesting when that happens, because obviously you have scouts, but for the general manager and Anaheim, as far as I know it, it's not like they were on the East Coast. Tomorrow night they're playing the Sharks, and let's see what their previous game before that was. I guess they hadn't played in a bit. They were home against Nashville, so they had been totally on the West Coast. So something's brewing there, and I could see a Ranger Duck trade, whether that be involving like Frank Vetrano coming back or Adam Henrique. Those are just names to look out for. But we'll see. It's possible nothing comes of it, but, sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. So we will certainly keep our eyes on that situation. But Rangers, that one-game losing streak over. They are able to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets at Madison Square Garden. They win 4-1. And next they will head to Toronto to face the Maple Leafs.